I think you have to look at this for what it is. One team comes in as heavy favorites, an international victory a couple of years ago, lots of experience on this stage. The other comes in only off just getting their first ever victory for China. So it's a massive opportunity for them to face off against G2. They got that extra little rep playing into that first match, but I think will do well for them. The problem is, G2 seem to be getting into their form. They had a rough year, one where they made changes that I think were questionable, role swaps that didn't work, but realistically, they've peaked potentially at the right time with a victory recently in EMEA.
No, as we've just seen, this will be the first time we get to see Nova play here on Corrode. They've decided to pick it though, so let's see what they've got up their sleeve. Up against this comp from G2, agree with what Potter said. I love the double dive that comes in with the Yoru and the Waylay, but it's going to be the Yoru opening things up, and Amy shutting it down. A 4 versus 2 to start things off. Nova get the plant, but they are outnumbered. Let's see if they can at least deliver a couple of early kills to make this doable when G2 go in for the retake. They've got to be ahead of it, and that was damn close, but a 1v3 for Alyssa, 11 HP, the headshot's needed, and she's boxed in.
The aggression, I don't mind it. The idea to try and put that pressure deep in towards the B spawn, but the fact is they ran into Mimi. Has obviously had that more recent switch up to the aggression of Yoru, who it seems to fit her wonderfully. This double combination alongside Akita, but definitely not the start that they were looking for over on that attack inside. It's worth mentioning as well that when we have seen this map played by G2, they are fairly heavily winning out their attack sides when they do take victory on the map. 9-3, 10-2, so like they may not need many rounds in this defensive side to get the work done. Early days though, it does feel, at least going off historical data, that both teams are going to be comfortable on the next map, but I think G2 are forced to be reckoned with when it came to their old split.
I like this buy. They've gone for the 2 Spectres, but the star of the round, at least to start out, was certainly that Marshall.
No rifles is interesting though.
It is. I mean, at the end of the day, they're coming in here with a lot of fighting ability with that updated Spectre. This is something that we talked about quite a bit. If anyone's going to show us just how powerful that weapon is in this meta, I think it is G2.
Yeah, I'll be more intrigued for the bonus. I think this round, obviously, it means everybody has a weapon. There's no risk of giving a rifle over to the other side, which that has its benefits. But people moved away from this for the exact reason of going into the next round. It kind of sucks. For Akita, though, a little bit of confidence building. Of course, the newbie to the champ stage, but let's be real, I don't think we're too worried about how her performance is going to go. The 18-year-old has been very confident in her play.
So one of the things that I'm very curious to see is how G2 are going to be managing this mid-contest, because a lot of the time we see teams go for the Viper because of how oppressive it is. It allows you on defense or offense to have that mid-wall, as well as covering off one side of the map on defense, whether you're throwing it from the B or A site. And it's going to be very oppressive. It allows you to take these mid fights, but it also allows you to just pop it up and leave question marks on your opponent's side. With those 3 smokes, you've got to be a little bit more calculated about how that's going down. Early flash, and look at the aggression from G2, trying to make those weaker weapons work. But again, the Spectre can be deadly, even on range in this meta. G2 already dealing quite a bit of damage, 47 and 49 HP. Nova have to reset, and there's the Brim smoke down. They've been denied that mid control as G2 look to slow push up, still with a flash on Mimi that could be coming through that smoke any second.
Yeah, the plan was completely deny them on A, re-pressure mid, and then obviously have all of that Vice utility on the other side. Clem's done well though, but Vanya immediately onto the trade, putting them a bit of an awkward position. Again, that delay is still there. The wall will leave one player completely isolated. In fact, maybe Amy even expects that it's just the bait and that they're still on the other side. That allows Sheer to find one, but Amy's still here, eventually dealt with. Still the problem of the sniper, and now all that remains is Vanya. A lot still to try and do, and a decent recovery in the end. It looked like that was going to get pretty dangerous for Nova, but they will have their first round with 3 players standing.
Yeah, and look, this was actually a really good recovery. Even though they're up against those weak weapons, and we talked about that investment, it wasn't full rifles for G2. The fact is, they were denied that early A main control where they sent the majority of their forces. They were pushed back, they were dealt damage to. Then the smoke goes down on mid, and there's a mid push coming on the back of it. Nova had a lot to deal with there, and I think that early round started about as poorly as it could have without giving away the player advantage. So for them to reset into that and still end up with 3 alive, getting the plant down and avoiding that danger around middle, that's pretty much a perfect resurgence into the round. As we come into round number 4, though, here's where the rifles are in hand for G2.
Yeah, Mimi's gone in early for the sniper on the other side. A quick rotation, but it's a fast-paced take. Nightfall used immediately. It was earned up over the last couple of rounds, and the Thorns are going to really deal some damage. Vanya was the only one connected, but also taken out. The pace working wonders for the side of Nova, and okay, Clem. What a start to the round. Mimi gone, operator on the ground, and it seems like it's not getting any better. Icebox with another, Shirazi to close, and a blitz of pace in towards that A site has given them a second round.
Hey, not a bad debut so far here on Corrode. You know, one of the questions we had coming into this wasn't so much about, you know, will they have the strategies to outmatch G2? It's just when it comes to trading blows with this squad, will you be able to match up pound for pound firepower? And that's not something that we've seen Nova tested in to nearly this degree. And look at them go. We are seeing a dominant round following on from what was, you know, a hiccup in round number 3 that they recovered on. Everything going according to plan, and they've left G2 down to a very weak buy. You said G2 might not need a lot of rounds on the defense. Well, they might not get a lot if Nova keep this up, at least looking to take the lead here.
Yeah. Early days.
My blind is dead.
This is, of course, a good chance for Shirazi to maybe bring this back. Flash out, though. They're going to go through the utility. And well, it's always going to be dangerous, even with those pistols. Amy, again, her job is just to delay. Actually, opts to use the ability to take away the guns. That steel garden, but it won't really help out her teammates too much. They are too far away. A long rotation back through mid and a 3v3.
Yeah, and I think the thing being that Icebox still alive, has that wall to cover off their back. So at this point, Nova know that they don't have to commit any resources to it. They've got Sheer holding off the spawn, which leaves 2 players to hold a very important angle, but the flash is key. It catches as Alyssa goes down, so too does Icebox. And now Sheer from up top, going to be caught out by the orbital strike. Pushed down below, but survives. A sliver of HP. The regen shield's coming back up, giving a small margin, but 4 bullets left in the rifle. The paranoia goes through, the defuse underway, and they've done it. G2 battling back on the low buy.
That's just ridiculous. The MasterCard thrifty, and I think 3 of those kills coming through the classic.
From Mimi, yeah.
Mimi's flashes this round were just sublime, and I guess that's what happens when you put probably one of the best support players in all of EMEA, someone who was known for her KO, her breach, and then give her a Yoru. Those flashes are still going to be on point. An immediate return to the board, and a painful one for the side of Nova. A chance to get themselves into the lead, and now you're going to see Gozen come back up with even an Odin in play. A gun that was made very popular on this map.
Yeah, without a doubt. Brock was a lot of fun to watch using this, although won't be used for that early oppression around mid. We've seen those spams go straight down towards that short position. But instead, it's actually being used spamming the Viper wall, trying to deny Nova from walking up on middle, going for that deep control. But that they've reset. You know, they took that control towards elbow for a moment, and now they set their sights on the A site, but there's been a change up.
Yeah, Amy's moved. They've got the aggression early as well of Akita, so that will set them up nicely. Steel Garden is available for Icebox, though. Could opt to try and take some of the weaponry away. Damage done by the Thorns, and now making their way across that initial utility. Pot flash out. Amy's the one that's getting ready to take the swing, but Clem wins that first fight. Doesn't get much more. Vanya has traded things evenly. But now there is that Steel Garden. Vanya was already prepared for it, though. The pistol in her hand, sat in the corner, but easily taken down without having the rifle.
Yeah, not even the stim beacon can help you out there. Sheer Caught, stays up close, looks for the fight, but it's Akita to put her in the ground and double up as well. Shirazi with a chance, but being watched. Timing is everything. The shot lands. And now waiting for that tap, the defuse underway. Akita sticking it at least a half, but now looks for the battle and finds her third of the round. G2, 4-2 in the lead. This was a strong start from Nova, but those defensive rounds are starting to really add up.
Started to see some of that individual ability we spoke about. Vanya doing well in this round, Akita as well. I like the storyline as well. It was mentioned on the desk that for Shirazi, this is a little bit of a revenge map. The same can be said, though, if you go all the way back to 2022 for Alyssa. Blitzed out by G2 in that tournament. And we'll be looking to see if she can maybe get that little bit of revenge. Of course, for Nova, it's been a very different year overall. 11-0 at the moment on the entire year in terms of series. Early pressure, though. And while once again, the utility just working wonders. The ult setting up Akita. Doesn't even know there's a player in the corner. That's made it interesting. Alyssa's done well. In fact, Alyssa's taken over. Just a small piece missed of that puzzle for G2. And what was looking like a surefire round now turned into a 1v2.
A 1v2, and it's an op that they're up against. Mimi might almost want to swap that weapon out, especially now that they've got to play into the Viper's pit. This round looked destined to be G2's, but Nova, they've challenged fate itself. Now it's Mimi who has to do the dirty work, still with a full belt of utility. A gate crash to fall back to. Even then, that's going to run down the clock quite a bit. I'm looking at the decoy, how it's going to be used, clearing out this pit, being point of contact. Alyssa up close is desperately low. There's the flash, there's the decoy, they spray it, easy kill. Mimi isolating the 1v1, but Shirazi staying up close converts the round. A big win for Nova.
Yeah, no, that was, I feel like she closed it out, but that was all about Alyssa. Just staying calm in moments that realistically should have been the end of the round. The fact that she was hit by that convergence path, but just stuck it out until the moment was right. Yes! That made the difference. That gave them their third. And once again, after the last round was a clutch from Akita, the economy just doesn't exist for G2. That didn't matter last time.
No, it really didn't. It was Mimi's classic that took the highlight of the previous eco round. So with a few more investments this time. And the ulti online for Mimi as well. I don't think it's likely to be used.
They have gone all the way back and then just sent Mimi forward anyway. This time, though, they are ready for it.
Yeah, I like this from Shirazi. Just waiting, hearing the refract go back, but not believing it, especially on a round like this. It is somewhere you just want to see that default across the map. Wait for the aggression of those pistols. Better than running into them, that's for sure. And then the late round, we'll see them move to this A site. They've made the right call. They're avoiding the judge and the 3 players stacked towards that B site. Leaving Akita to do it all with Sheriff in hand and what should be a barrage of utility if they go that way. But going elbow up against an eco is always a risk. They've avoided her for now, and luckily, Icebox was covering all her bases.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried for Sheer, who was facing the other way, but I had the teammates ready to do the work. And the question now will be, do they actually challenge much for this? Or is it just going to be an attempt to go down to the spike? Oh, for Petra, that wasn't really much of an option. For the other two, they would be close enough, but they may want to try and make this a bit more costly.
One enemy remaining.
That's why the judge is just going to tuck in the corner. But again, those exits unlikely to go Vanya's way. I think going down to the spike is, and indeed now, is the only way that this is going to go for Nova. What a resurgence. That was right when it feels like G2 are about to get full control over the game. That round where Alyssa tucks in the corner on mid and finds all that value. It seems like that clutch has put a lot of wind in their sails. They get an eco out of G2 right afterwards. And now with the scoreline tied up, it's their chance to push that little bit further, take that lead.
Yeah, last time out they did great to activate off the Nightfall as well, which they'll have online for this round. And on the other side of things, Dimensional Drift, which has been online for a while. I wonder if maybe there's a combo that we could see with the the Odin of Petra, which is waiting up top mid. That's why you're going to see the Dimensional Drift sent down, but there is nobody around this angle. That is, however, an awful lot of information. In fact, Mimi knows everything.
The Molly's going to delay them, following up on that Nightfall with Akita still in the corner. Stun goes through, but she's got one of her own. Further delay, as Nova now have to rely on another burst of utility to get in, but it's supposed to be sheared. In the back lines, only able to grab one, and then it's a desolation from G2 as they hold that site with ease. The lead is back in their hands.
I will say, obviously it's been a little while now since it's been the case, but Vanya back on smokes. I don't want to curse out the person that decided to take her off it, but that was a terrible idea. Like, she was still very good on the duelist, but when you have someone who is this capable while playing smokes at the same time, just stick with it. 9 and 5 at the moment. Wow, it's Shirazi also on the controller on the other side. Viper has been doing work. A back and forth game. But as said, like, G2 come out with 6 on the defense with this double duelist, we are going to be looking at Nova to almost prove what they've got on this map. Because that's the thing, we genuinely don't know. They have never played it before. G2 are learning sort of as we are of how they play.
Prowler went out on mid there, and it hasn't spotted the player in the corner. Akita is flying under the radar. And even if there's no kill off of this, it's likely going to give the info when you see like that rotation come in from Icebox towards this A side, or if they go back towards B. That player being that close, something that Nova have to be cautious of. They're gearing up for this A push. Again, that pressure being put onto Mimi. But it's only an info peek from Mimi. I don't think she's going to look for too aggressive a fight. Akita, on the other hand, does look for that rotate and is caught by the patience of Icebox. Numbers even, though.
Now, they will make their way towards the site. It's been given up. But mainly that's because of the ultimates that are online. Nightfall available. Orbital Strike, which is almost immediately going to be used. And if they're even clipped by a tick of the Orbital Strike, they're going to be in quite a bit of trouble. Not managing to be caught by it, but it does force them in to Amy instead. Steel Garden utilized, but only 10 seconds left on the clock. They need to get the spike down. It doesn't matter. Vanya had dodged it anyway. Now the guns come back, and Icebox needs to clear them all out. It's not going to happen. A lot of ults invested, but the value was worth it for G2.
Yeah, without a doubt, taking that 2-round lead now and putting the pressure onto Nova, who are going to be experiencing some credit issues coming into the next round. The bankroll running dry, and I love the early round from Nova here. The fact that Icebox was so conscious of somebody taking that late space. They gave up mid control after the Prowler for 15, 20 seconds, and Icebox knew you're either going to catch a rotation there, the conventional way where they're coming from mid, or as it happened, there was someone close, and when you're leaving that position, you got to take the fight. Not one that they win, but the fact that Mimi manages to trade it out and keep the control and elbow changes the round. Big mid fight being set up by G2. You can see a lot of players around that elbow, and Akita looking for info. Overstays her welcome. The refract faded and up against the eco. Nova have got to be happy to be gifted a pick like that and a weapon on the back of it.
I think maybe it was too committed to whatever the initial play was about to be, but had already used the refract and ends up biting her. Amy's going to be the one under pressure here, but does have support from Mimi, and with that Outlaw versus those light shields, it is a one-shot kill.
Nice start from Amy, but one and done. Nova keep that momentum towards this B site. The plant will be coming through. A rifle retrieved yet again. Now the advantage firmly in their court. The half isn't lost just yet. The spam's dangerous, but just about missing the players on site. And a retake for G2, not going to be easy. They still have a lot of utility. The one smoke coming in from Brim. Molly as well to follow up and clear out an angle alongside Aziz, but they need to hit their shots quick and clean, and the trades work in Nova's favor as they will finally put a 5th on the board, just one behind and a chance to tie it up at the half.
Yeah, Vanny at least does manage to trade one out at the end, but I don't think they're going to mind too much on the Nova side. A 5th round earned on this attack, and it felt like G2 got punished quite heavily there for some of those one-and-done fights. Definitely making it a little bit easier, but you still have to land those shots. Alyssa putting up the numbers, and that was sort of the question when we came in, is like, is this just going to be G2 outclassing an opponent that hasn't ever faced a team of this caliber? So far, the answer has been no.
Oh yeah, they have looked very good, especially considering the fact that this is the first time they're playing this in an official, and regardless of your practice, it's a different ball game when it comes to the real deal. G2 again, sending the Vice setup towards this B site. Amy ready and waiting for this challenge, but they will presumably just trip the wall and back off, at least for now. You can see the default being held by Nova. It's why you don't expect that full push to come through. Sheer is looking for a fight on mid. You've got Shirazi over towards the A side as well, just waiting for the aggression. And with a minute on the clock, the world is their oyster, really. Nova can take this where they want.
They've also got rid of pretty much all of that Vice setup already. They spammed out the Thorns as well, so it forces G2 to commit an additional player in towards this B site and potentially opens up other portions of the map. Now, they are going to go back in that direction. The idea was to sell this ruse and then fade back in towards B. And with that Nightfall online again, both players are going to be connected.
Again, though, we get another set of Thorns going through to pop that delay. Nova following up still onto Amy. Mimi in the corner, grabs herself a double. Well, they're right back in the lead. Player advantage, and then another falls. Mimi keeps on delivering. And with 12 seconds left, they've got to go. Someone needs to stick that plant here and now. Shirazi's the one left to cover, but G2 are patient. Mimi doesn't want to overextend, not looking for the ace just yet. It will be a full squad here for the retake. 3 versus 2. All they need to do is trade.
Shirazi, the first one to face. It's a little bit late, but it's Mimi already with 4 and only 1 standing for Nikita. She cares about her own numbers rather than giving the lead of the ace. Nonetheless, it will be G2 coming through with a lead at this half. And as said, this was normally the side they struggle a little bit more, and they're going to be quite happy going forward.
Yeah, a 7-5 half is nothing to turn your nose at, especially when we know their attack can be quite solid indeed. You know what, I'm excited for many things today, and one of which is the fact that we've got some big names, not just down on the stage, but here in the arena as well, because I've heard that Jen Lee was on her way to go and meet Mako and Bane for a halftime interview.
네, 마코 선수와 베인 선수 만나보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
Hey guys, it's Jen standing here with Mako and Bane actually made this sign himself. It says Mimi fighting, but his bias is Ninetales. So speaking of a bias, Mako, who is your bias? And was there any player today that really impressed you? 마코 선수의 원픽은 누구일까요? 지금 베인 선수의 원픽은 나인테일즈이고, 그리고 오늘 경기 보면서 와 되게 잘한다 싶은 선수가 있었을까요?
저는 노바에서 지금 바이퍼를 플레이하고 있는 시라지 선수인 것 같아요. 어려운 역할군을 맡았는데 되게 수행을 잘하고 있는 느낌이고, 팀이 어려울 때마다 한 번씩 해주는 것 같습니다.
또 약간 같은 롤이니까 동병상련 느낌? 네.
아, 네.
I would say Shirazi really stood out today. I mean, on her Viper, it's not an easy role, but whenever the team needs her, she's just popping out and doing her thing and making sure that she make those plays to help her team out. Now, Bane, you're so used to playing in front of the Korean crowd, and we have a lot of them today. So any tips on how to win them over? 이제 한국 팬분들 앞에서 경기를 치르는 데는 베인 선수와 마코 선수 모두 익숙하시잖아요. 우리 선수들에게 이렇게 해야 한국 팬의 원픽이 될 수 있다. 좀 팁이 있을까요?
아무래도 총도 잘 쏴야 되고 좀 과한 리액션도 필요하겠지만 무엇보다 저처럼 좀 귀여워야 되지 않나. 죄송합니다.
I would say you need to have good aim and you need to have huge animated reactions, trash talking as well. But the most important thing would be to be really cute, like Bane. Well, I'm glad you have that, Bane. Thank you guys, and we're gonna go back to the game. 네, 이렇게 해서 두 선수 만나봤고요. 이어지는 경기 함께 하시죠.
Well, Bane has a bright future in coaching. I'll say that. Drew Spark, watch out. I think he's coming for you.
I've already failed at one of those hurdles.
Yeah, the aim really isn't great. But as we get into our Coinbase Econ report at the halftime, Tom, there's certainly a lot to look back on, but I think your highlight was Vanya.
You know what? It's I think my highlight's almost always going to be Vanya, at least especially when we're watching EMEA. She has been unreal for an incredibly long time, but it is like, I know we came in, you were like, oh, Vanya on the brim, I'm not sure about that. And my exact response to you was, Vanya could have locked any agent, and I wouldn't have cared. And it is always the case. It's like, especially when she's on the controller, the numbers she's going to put up. Do I necessarily think that the brim is going to revolutionize the map? No. Is Vanya going to do good work on it? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, still doing a lot of the same things that Viper did in terms of that mid-contest, putting down the smokes to make it an issue, have that little bit more maneuverability with not having to place the orb, but instead be able to call down those smokes a little more on the fly. The molly to delay, similar to the snake bite as well, maybe even more effective. So Orbital
Strike also had impact in a couple of rounds.
Right away it had impact as soon as it was online and pushing that player out of heaven. So
she gets a lot of kills.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Orbital Strike.
So definitely no criticisms there, and I suppose I owe Drew Spark my apologies, as well as Vanya, of course, who I should never doubt and never will again. My apologies. 7-5 as we get into the second half, and it's already a big mid-fight from G2, putting a lot of pressure around this angle, and you can already see Prowler going through means they want that control. Akita's following it up slowly, but Clem, quick to connect the headshot, puts Nova in a 5 versus, well, now 3 into 2. It's Petra and Amy. Double the numbers on the other side, spike down, and no chance by the looks of things.
Amy's like, I got flanked, stay alive. I got flanked, stay alive. Well, unfortunately, nobody's staying alive. It's going to be all down to her. Always very good with these pistols, but the amount of utility on the other side is going to make it difficult. The smokes leaving her in an awkward spot. The one thing she does have is time. 45 seconds. Obviously, there's no good way to go about this round, and the way that Nova are currently grouped up, there's not really an individual fight, although saying that, Icebox did decide to go look, and they're going to now try and swing it together. And well, with synergy like that, what can go wrong? The 6th on the board for Nova, an important victory in the pistol, and a good start to their defense.
Yeah, this is very much needed as well when we talk about G2 and this attack side, expecting numbers to be there, and an early injection of rounds like that only casts further doubt on whether Nova will be able to match up. But now, pistol round under their belt, a potential 7-7 on the board, and Clem looking clean in a lot of those early fights. That's showing a lot of promise. I also like their buy coming into this round more than I did G2's second round. Yes, the Spectre can be strong, but this gives them a lot more to work with, and I'm just a massive Outlaw fan in general.
Yeah, the only difference is the gamble of losing guns, because you basically, if 2 people go down, that's a problem. Whereas for G2, it's like, oh no, I lost the Spectre, oh no, I lost the Sheriff. Like, it is, that's the kind of trade-out. Already though, that's not the best of starts. That's a gun into the hands of Petra. In fact, it's a Guardian as well, so high damage potential with what they can do. Also looking to try and get that little bit more aggressive with some of their positioning, whereas the defense are all grouping up together. They do have to be careful.
Retrieving flash.
I mean, the numbers are the real advantage when you've got those classics, right? But you allow Nova to group up and push into you. I understand why they want to get ahead of it. Amy spots a bit of info, falls back, a spam attempt coming in from Petra, and some of these players very low! Amy's already got one with the right click. This is looking so doable for G2. Nova need to buckle down as Petra puts them in the ground! A MasterCard Thrifty! And the one thing we didn't want to see, that early injection of rounds, well, it seems unavoidable now.
That's pain. That's just pain. Like, it wasn't even much of an investment at all. It was actually just good use of the smokes to create some very, very close angles on the way out. The Guardian, it was, again, you buy all of those higher impact weapons, one of them goes into another person's hands, that person is Petra, and that's the round done. It is a costly one and a huge injection of cash as well, because they got to pick up all the weapons that you just dropped.
Yeah, it's already enough of an advantage winning that second round, but then you get that little extra economic buff. Now you're up against a very weak buy.
4 pickups? They get 4 guns from that?
So, yeah. It was at least 3 that I saw. And then you look at Nova now, they don't have a lot to fight back in. This is not a round we want to see them win necessarily, but damage is key. We need Nova to drop some of those weapons, or this is going to be an uphill battle in this early half. Petra, what a shot onto Clem, matching up to the shot Clem hit in that pistol, as now the flank around from Akita seems to close this round out. Shirazi shouldn't have a chance. There you go, 9-6, 4 players left alive. The question of damage goes unanswered.
It almost feels like Petra's just gone, well, since you've gifted me this Guardian. I'm going to use it very well. Like, when a player's sliding across the ground like that, it's always going to be difficult. She's already managed to earn up the majority of orbs needed for her ultimate, which, well, we already saw the impact of the Nightfall in the previous half. I think it was probably the most impactful ult we saw coming out of Alyssa. She did very well with it, so a lot of danger now coming in with a full purchase on the other side. And yeah, this is a full buy plus maybe 1 or 2 rounds of potential repurchase for G2. They've got a lot of credits to play with.
Yeah, G2 coming in as favorites and now having that extra wiggle room. Nice shutdown though by Sheer to start this. Petra keeps on going. That Guardian hasn't been taken out of her hands. Maybe it won't. That's a spam from Vanya straight through the mid smoke that she put down. For Nova, a 4 versus 3 off rip in a round where they full invested, and the B site is the target, which, as we can see, is wide open. And now G2 can see that too.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing they really need to worry about is maybe somebody swinging in from heaven, but it now almost becomes a question of how much you're willing to gamble to get back into this site. Because the problem with losing a lot of players so early in the round is there's a lot of utility still to play with, more Thorns available, the Flash still available, C's still available. Like, this is a lot of potential denial. And also, the defenders are all coming in from one choke. A lot that they need to clear, even wary of heaven, and understandably so. Shirazi, though, that's a gun barrel. That's a spot. A second as well. Player in the corner, though. They haven't been able to clear. It was actually Vanya to find the first kill. That left Mimi hidden, but Shirazi is fighting strong. Already to look to bring this back, and it's the headshot, but does she have the time? It's close. That will be the question. So close. I think she just about got it. A second and a half left on the clock. The Red Bull clutch, and Shirazi, a hero.
This is the moment when you need those to step up as well. The big investment from Nova. They would have been left in the dust with double digits for G2 and Eco out of the defensive side. And my goodness, maybe the end of Corrode. A sad story considering how Nova performed, but Shirazi puts the team on her back. A huge clutch up. Mimi, who's been putting up numbers, caught out in that corner with 4 bullets left. She catches Vanya. You can hear it in her voice. Just how big of a deal this round was to connect. Now a 2-round gap and a chance to make up on this. The barrier's already up as we get into the game, and you can see the G2 are wasting no time with taking control, but Clem, the one to open this up with the judge.
Well, yeah, the worry coming into this round was that you only survive with 1 player. G2 had a good opportunity to just repurchase immediately. In fact, I think it was even an outlaw in play for Mimi, because she was thinking, okay, there's going to be light shields. Well, the low buy of the judge has worked wonders. A great start. And again, you kind of look at this play now and go, do you want to try and make it round that corner? Because I don't.
I don't blame you for it.
So here comes the
Push
judge.
in from the judge. Amy will punish a second player.
No.
Surely not the third. Alyssa finally puts her to bed, but a 3 versus 3. The A site being pressured, but the spike still has to cross. They've got control. But a player sneaking out of that smoke could be a death sentence. And that's why Vanya waited for the smoke that was covering her off to fade. Waited for Akita to get into this corner. Now they've got the control. Now they've got the plant. And Akita in this corner. Oh, it doesn't look like she was expected. And a 3 versus 2 as a reward.
Well, Shirazi's still standing. So I might just have to believe for the moment. He did impeccable work in the last round to give them this chance.
Beacon down.
Problem though is the post plant is not going to be easy to beat, and I'm looking at Akita already wrapping back around as the other 2 players looking to bait, and well, maybe the bait will be enough. Akita's there to close. G2 right back on the horse, and even though this round started well, the danger, as said, was that this was an immediate reset of the economy. Well, unfortunately, that has now come true.
I love this from Akita as well, the fact that she goes wrapping around on elbow. So first of all, Amy finding the 2 in mid. Like the first kill,
insane.
jumping judge, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes it's kind, sometimes it's not. But left her so low, and she swings out and domes another. Had a chance for more, but that kill there from Akita is so important because that has done so much damage to Nova. They were in that 2 versus 3. It was worth going for. Once they lose a player and it's a 3v1, the call is made instantly. Let's save. We've got 3 players with no money. 2 of us can buy. We carry a weapon through, and we can at least get something out of this. And instead, what happens? Akita's flanked around, cuts off that rotate back into the spawn, cuts off that save, and makes this a really costly round for Nova. Now they come into the next without the credits. That's G2 probably pushing up to 11, and then they're on the home stretch with a big resurgence needed from Nova up against G2's favorite side. And right now, it's looking like pretty dark times down on that stage, considering how tight of a start we had. Even with G2 having that resurgence at the end of the first half, it was still only a 7-5 scoreline, but now they're running away with it potentially.
They've won also like 2 flat-out ecos, so you kind of take those out, and this is a much, much closer game. Maybe Nova even in the lead, but unfortunately that doesn't really mean anything because they did lose those rounds and now have to try and find maybe even an eco of their own. And this is another chance for G2 just to extend that economic advantage even further. A couple of ultimates already online. The likelihood is for Mimi, if she gets an orb or a kill, she'll have an ult. Vanya may even have it, and it puts them in such a strong position just to close out those last couple of rounds, as said, on their fairly heavily favored side of the map. So it is definitely bleak times for Nova. Split, of course, has been out of the pool for a little while, but for G2 regionally, it was very good. And you can say the same for Nova, but obviously with only a couple of organizations competing within China, it's a little bit of a different beast. I'm sure Nova would have wanted this surprise to work out, but we'll have to wait and see if they've got the stones to turn it around from here.
Oh, they've made the wrong gamble in this round. The A site, 4 players there. But Shirazi's now hearing that it's the wrong spot to have numbers in. Now, hold on. If she lets the decoy go past, it could be huge. Bang, you just spam the box. All right, well, yeah, all the trigger discipline in the world ain't going to help you out of that one. Never mind, no damage in the spawn. Great control for G2. They've got heaven space. The one thing is the plant isn't 4 there, so if Nova can slip by, great, but that's going to be easier said than done with a big battle waiting for them as they round the corner. Death is all that awaits them. 11-7 in flawless fashion. G2 now on the home stretch.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about with the ultimates. 3 of them online, 1 of them 1 orb away, which they may just look to challenge for immediately. But then you also have the factor of, do you doubt that Vanya will get 1 kill? And I don't. On the other side of things, Nightfall close. And I am looking at Clem with the operator and the overdrive in pocket. Something we're yet to really see from her yet, but it looks like they're going to try and put her into position. Now there is Amy waiting on the other side. In fact, there's a couple of players. She needs to hit this shot and get out immediately. And that's exactly what she does. Very nice.
That was clean as can be. Now Mimi's on the wrap up behind. Already used that dimensional drift and is hunting down a kill, but Clem has found another. Out comes the shorty. But Mimi now poses a threat with the flash through this smoke. Making a big impact, but Paranoia goes in. Rest of the squad delayed. Clem finding a 3rd in the round. Mimi tagged desperately low. It's on to Petra. Look at this corner spot for Mimi. She shouldn't get much, but Petra's there to cover her. A 3 versus 2. Manageable, especially with the spike under their control.
Yeah, manageable, but they're both tagged up. And the players on the other side are healthy. They've got to make a decision of whether or not they now go all the way back to the other side of the map, but for Nova, they've done impeccably well. 2 of those ultimates already expended, coming in with a massive advantage to close out this round. Now, post-plant, definitely not out of the realms of possibility, but you have to think of it from G2's perspective. We're tagged up, and we have 1,000,001 angles that we need to clear, and they don't see what we see. They don't know that there's 3 players still completely committed to this B side of the map, so they are just almost going to have to gamble on the fact that there's no one here, and luckily for them, they are correct.
Spike planted.
They go for an aggressive spot here, like playing towards the spawn to try to catch them on the rotate. It looks like Petra, going down on mid, but this is risky. They're already on the run through. Little bit of tag from Petra. 2 steps at least. Have been heard. What a shot! That puts us back to even, but still the HP advantage sits with Nova. They don't know where Mimi is, and they don't know where Petra's gone. Another swing, and it's a hit! G2 now with the advantage. The time ticking. Petra in the corner, and she has heated up in this map. Nova's flesh serving as the kindling. 12-7. One more with 5 chances to close out the pick of Nova.
Oh, we saw the poll earlier where I think it was 0.2% where Mel and Alexis were voted the better duo of the two. I have a feeling maybe that 0.2% might have been swayed after that one, because that was insane from Petra. Somebody who for many, many years has lived for this LAN setting, lived for these international events. And well, has pulled a round, honestly, out of absolutely nothing. That should have been a Nova victory, but for her individual brilliance. Clem off with a nice start, but that happened in the last round as well, and this time there's an immediate response. Nikita wanted to chase.
She was thinking about it. We almost saw that dash up. It could have been a mistake with Sheer seemingly ready for the fight, but here it comes. Flash in, and so is Akita. Shots from Icebox don't land, and she's going to force back here. 2 players on site, though. Both angles covered, but big fights coming their way. Sheer has the trigger discipline to at least let the decoy go past, but this is going to be tough. 3 players coming through that angle. No flash to work with. Nightfall does catch just about, and so Sheer ends up being an easy kill for Akita. Just the 1 bullet needed. Molly in play slows them and gets the plant in for G2. With a 3 versus 2, 12-7. There's no better time to put the Nightfall through for Nova. A bit of information going their way, but they need to get towards this spike. Clearing out elbow at least, knowing there's a player close, the reveal goes in, but look how patient G2 are with the orbital strike. They knew that they could run down this clock, and now the pressure truly onto Nova as players fall one after another. Alyssa seemingly stands no chance with G2 locking in their 13th round.
Yeah, it was saw today Mimi and Petra talking about themselves as boomers. I'm not sure that's the case. They are looking like the young blood on the stage in the last couple of rounds, and a mass victory going up against a team that hasn't played this map before, and a devastating attack side. It was impressive, and now they go into their map choice.
That's the thing. We're going on to split up next, but of course that will be after the break. As Nova now have to rely on another burst of utility to get in, but it's supposed to...
And they look pretty decent on this map. A couple of wins, no losses, but that's the case for them on a lot of maps. And again, they've not faced an opponent like G2 before. G2 in stage 2, I think we're 5-0 on this map, and we're incredibly strong on their attack side, which is where they're going to be starting. So I definitely do think that this is going to be a very difficult battle for Nova, but I like the fact that they're coming in with a fairly unique look at the map. Like I think that Neon, especially if you play around a lot of these mid angles, the stuns can be quite nasty. It's very tight in some of the angles, and we've seen it a long while ago. I think it was even like Defo or someone used to play Neon on this map. So I'm interested to see what they've got, and the Teo as well. Again, something that's fallen out of the meta a little bit, but I still get excited when I see it picked.
Yeah.
That didn't sound like something.
Yeah, I don't... not 1,000,000% with you, but you know, it's good that you're getting excited, Tom. I always like to see that. G2 on their way towards this A site, and well, Icebox is going to have quite a task to stay alive as the flood comes in. Heaven Control going to be covered off by Amy as they wrap up themselves around. Nice flash, but Akita is the one to draw that opening duel in G2's favor. And they've got all their bases covered towards main. 2 players sitting and waiting there. The question is, I think for G2 at this point, with how spread they are, they almost want to take a fight, but then you have that double up down below in the drop. This is a nasty little spot, especially considering the super late play from Vanya. She should be able to do a ton if there's anyone left to be picked up.
It didn't matter from this point onwards. Alyssa completely surrounded, and G2 are going to get themselves off to a strong start in the pistol. It's definitely a composition as well that I've enjoyed in terms of that double duelist. Like, we've seen Yoru Rays become incredibly popular on this map. Of course, I think the last time G2 were playing this, they still had Nello in the roster, so a slightly different variation. I think Amy was even playing a Fade at that point, so this was where some of their roles were a little bit more questionable before Petra came back in and now picks up that Fade once again. This is where it looks like there's a lot more comfort in the roles that they're playing, but I think Mimi's Yoru is something I've been really pleasantly surprised by, because I think that there's no doubt that if you've watched like any streams or anything like that over the last few years of hers, her individual ability is very impressive, but it's always been a utility that I think has been maybe even second to none within EMEA at least. So the fact that she now gets to sort of put both into combination playing the Yoru, it's just enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I love it here in Seoul, man. Those tech pauses, they never last longer than a minute, and I'm sure that's not going to come back to bite me. It's been enjoyable so far. Well,
don't worry, Pansy's going to be here soon.
Yeah, she has literally just arrived, I heard, so anything goes wrong, it's not my fault. Let's pin it on her. 1-0 start for G2, and it's the defensive side coming in with classics. But they're grouped up ready for this fight, and that's a double opening. Clem with two of her own. G2 having to battle tooth and nail to even keep this even. That's a great start already in terms of damage and the potential for this to be so much more.
If they wrap back through after the plant, they might be able to retrieve some weaponry, and that's exactly what Nova are planning to do. They've realized, okay, they've probably either fallen back or pushed into the site, so that's a couple of guns for us to try and play with.
Spike planted.
Especially that Guardian. We've already seen it in the last map, what G2 were able to do with that, forcing them into the open, but that forces Vanya and Amy into the fight. And while luckily for G2, they were able to recover that. It was dangerous and it was costly, but G2 at least got themselves the round.
Yeah, but costly indeed. Yeah, you look at that from Nova's perspective, and the, over on Corrode on the defensive side, they took a big gamble, stacked 4 players on A. It didn't work out. G2 went the other way this time. They take a big gamble, they stack 4 players on A. It absolutely does work out. So you got to be happy with that, and the potential here for so much more. Look at the buy-up from Clem, an Outlaw up against the majority light and regen shields.
I'm interested. They've given both of the rifles to the duelists, who are normally going to be diving in. A lot of the time you want one of the backline players to have one of the guns, but clearly just having the faith in Mimi and Akita to try and make something work at this round.
You can respect it for sure, especially with the game that Mimi played in the previous. She was a devil even when it came to the classic play. For Nova, giving up control over Vents, this fight up in heaven, risky for Sheer. At least the 1-to-1 trade to start this off, but the damage onto Mimi makes this even a little bit more favorable perhaps for the defensive side, if they can get a favorable fight. It's the late play from Vanya that worries me. You think about the impact she had even in that pistol round. You think back to Corrode as well, a couple of sneaky plays from herself and Akita, and holding on to that mid control as the wrap goes back towards A. I was thinking maybe they were going to meet up with her and go towards B Heaven, but instead they are happy to just leave her embedded in mid for presumably the entire round, and a light play up into Heaven from her to try to backstab.
This is where Clem should, in theory, be able to maybe farm up, but that's already the first shot going astray. Support has been rotating in from her teammate, though, and that's the main thing. They at least have an opportunity onto this cross. Shirazi clean with it. Amy will be there for the trade. That Guardian juggled into her hands, and well, Vanya, her patience paid off. The player in the site, though, is going to be traded once again. Amy in with the chance, but incredibly low on HP. Icebox, full health, knows exactly where her opponent is. And again, this round may be costly, but Nova, well, they're going to be happy that they at least got it over the line.
Yeah, well, look, it's better than a 3-0 down start, absolutely, but the amount of damage done by G2 here, that initial trade 1-to-1, with how low Mimi was, that very well could have been a double opening for Nova that went unpunished. And instead, they still end up in a decent position with Mimi's being taken down by a quick transfer as a result of being 5 HP. It still comes that close. Yeah, it's exciting, but on the other side for G2, now they come in with rifles. Because of the plant and the big play from Amy, you've got the Viper's Pit to work with as well. And the reinvestments on Nova's side mean that if they lose this, G2 get to catapult themselves further into the lead.
Also, a lot of the time with this explosive a comp, you are going to expect plants to be coming in. Early space taken, and Clem is gone immediately. It felt like less than a second had gone in this round, and She's going to bite the bullet. For G2, though, this isn't necessarily a call to arms. They can now be a little bit more patient. They've got lurks in both middle and B in case anybody tries to get aggressive. And now we kind of ask, how do we expect Nova to react?
For now, there's not much, but there we go. The drone down through middle from Nova. Seeing nothing, but they hear that noise on A. Rotate from Alyssa. Having control can be fought for, but you just look at Icebox. Isolated on the site, it's going to get Shirazi in a spot where she wants to get that little more aggressive to support her teammate, but she goes down, and so does Icebox. Alyssa doing well, that third player not expected to be this close to A that early, but they're still down by 1. An ult for Mimi, a Viper's Pit as well. I mean, really take your pick of what you want to commit to that one, and even the stun. By the time those players get close, the stun has faded. And G2 grouping up. I mean, they are fish in a barrel if the spray came down, but instead it's Mimi with a very early wraparound inside the pit and a third kill in the round. She really has been having a series, in fact. With the Gravwell to buy even more time, we knew how this story was going to end. G2, 3-1. And for Nova, I think that puts their credits in the dirt.
Yeah, that's the trouble of having that very close prior round with the 2-weapon investment from G2. Again, though, you could just see how difficult a lot of these fights were from the Nova side. Like, caught out. I think there was even a fake teleport used as well by Mimi in the middle of that fight just to try and distract, try and almost put some doubt in the minds of the opponent. But more importantly, Amy has just been frying. 7-2 on the Viper. We said they were very good at playing this map even when she was on the Fade, but you put her on a Sentinel, you put her on Viper, and you just feel like you're going to get results.
I like Nova's idea. The gambles in these low-buy rounds, often the way to play it. The mid-push doesn't see anything from G2. Nova were hoping that someone would step out, look for the fight, look for the info. But even then, I mean, look at the position. Look at the position that's being held by Amy. She is ready for this. That is space that they know they've given up. And now Clem is going to be confused and frustrated as Amy shuts her down. Everything calculated, nothing unaccounted on the side of G2. And a 5 versus 4, the Pistols going to struggle to find any favorable fights here.
Spike dropped.
Yeah, not a lot of upgrades either.
Shadows.
Oh shit. He's just going to be playing around this site. The rotation has come in from a teammate as well, so maybe a chance at least for a little bit of damage, but she'll have to do it all while Mimi is going to make sure that no more damage will be had. Icebox with the most expensive of the upgraded pistols, but 4 players to find while they're even looking to just try and manage the orbs. It's going to be the plant even for Vanya afterwards, just to make sure that that Cosmic Divide comes online. And it's actually one of the maps where it really is a high impact ult because of how much you can section off on either the B cross or the A side cross as well. That Cosmic Divide can be a really problematic ult to play against.
For Nova, so many ultimates close by. Economy about to be invested into this round. It is a big one for them, being 4-1 down, and a timeout comes out, really signifying the importance of this round number 6. For G2, a victory could see them skyrocket into the lead. They'll be 5-1 up, whether they get 2 orbs on Akita in the coming one and use the showstopper to convert that, or whether it's saved up for the future. You've got high impact ultimates for G2 about to come online. You've got some there as well with Mimi able to entry and avoid a lot of the dangers. Nova have to be so calculated in their approach to this round.
These 2 ults they already have, for me, are scary enough because, as said, Cosmic Divide allows you to basically cross into a site. Dimensional Drift allows you to know where everybody on the site is. Like, it's so easy to then punish the players that are there that you then almost force your opponents into being very aggressive early in the round or being aggressive through a Cosmic Divide, which is such a massive risk because you have no sound cues, you have no idea what's going on. So I am curious what's being discussed on the other side. But the good thing for Nova, and a good thing about this pause, is it's the first time you're going to see the operator. It's also an opportunity for many ults to come online throughout the round, so they can maybe challenge for certain positions to get those. And it's almost the turning point, because I feel like it goes much further, and this is terrifying. You get a round win here, and it's not.
Upshot is everything, but it's already going to be spotted, pushed back now. The stun goes into play, but Mimi sees the second player. Cosmic Divide now. Mimi's going to find that little bit of a gap in spawn. It's beautiful! Mimi taking down Alyssa, but the AWP of Clem still sitting around this site. She is searching, trying to find absolutely anyone, but Mimi's already faded out, gone back to the rest of the squad, as Sheer is able to slip past on the backside. Nova with the lifeline! Sheer dominance on the B site as they find their second, a much-needed round.
I think that was a TP into the back corner as everybody was trying to sort of battle and brawl on the other side of it. She managed to just take the timing to get herself into the back of the site. Brilliant stuff from her individually, and honestly saved the round. As said, it can be very difficult once you're sectioned out by that Cosmic Divide to get much done. But a huge individual play has given them that round. Sheer now tops it for her squad, and very interesting purchase coming out from G2. Not quite the credits to fully invest, although saying that, Amy has enough to drop a rifle, and maybe one player would have been low. They've gone in with a couple of classics here.
Oh, this is risky, though, running through the pit. Already one player has snuck past. Alyssa didn't seem aware. Another showstopper right on Shirazi's feet. Down goes the pit. And Nova, well, they are spiraling here. Rifles picked up for the remaining players in G2. 5 versus 3. And look at the position of Amy. With the plant coming in on B, if you expect this, you're a giga brain like I've never seen. But that flank has a timer on it, and it's going to take a while to come into play. The smoke that's gone up in heaven, though, might just buy them that time.
Flank? Wow, that's going to be something. Clem has managed to take down Mimi. That puts them in a bit of a box, actually, while that flank is still coming. Icebox has done well, but Vanya's still standing strong. And now Amy strikes. She's been waiting for a moment all the way through the round for Clem. This is not the position you want an operator. And well, the MasterCard's thrifty. It was a few guns, but still a few missing. But it really didn't matter when Akita plays like that.
I didn't even get a chance to say it, that like, oh, maybe they're buying up because like if Akita gets a pick, you've got the showstopper. The fact that she walks through the pit, finds Alyssa off guard, then gets the Viper, opening that road for her teammates to just barrel into the B site, and then allowing Amy to have this super late flank that really cannot be expected. And credit to them, they did turn to look at heaven just as she peaked. But yeah, Amy was a little quicker on the trigger. 5-2, and Nova left onto an eco.
The really upsetting thing, though, for Nova is like you see some of these, again, these brilliant individual plays that bring them around, and you go, okay, this is the start. And the second that happens, somebody on G2 goes, oh, you think you're back in the game?
Yeah.
You're not. And just does exactly the same back. We saw that when they win a close round, and then G2 manages to win one with pistols in the last map. That happened twice. One of them was a triple kill from Mimi with a classic. Like, it really has just been circumstances that you go, okay, this would be the worst possible time for that to happen. And then it happens.
There's incredible timing in mid as well, being able to slip past that Viper in the pit for G2. Nightfall online. Could be a good round to put it in up against those pistols. I don't mind going up towards this A site though. Lots of open ground, lots of ranged fights to take. Don't expect to see that Spike walking up into heaven. That's usually where the pistols will look for the battle, but it's on the other side that wants to fight G2. Oh, they have got Mimi down to 5 HP at least, so a chance with the 145 dink, but the big ult's going to be completely avoided. Another pop flash, Amy onto Clem. And the players from Nova crumbling, but still some potential with these Sheriffs. Icebox known on the backside, won't get much, and yeah, just like that, G2, another round on the board. The lead extended, and the pressure, it's going to get to Nova if they lose this next one.
If there was one salvo in that corner, that's 3 players wiped out. But there's just enough of a gap that they can survive around the edge of it. It's unfortunate. I definitely like the idea, The problem now is that was one of the few ults they had coming into this round, and there'll be nothing to be utilized other than maybe from the shadows, which, hey, very impactful last time.
They are mine.
For something, for sheer, but 6-2 up on the attack side. G2,
Where are
there's been a couple of blips, but everything else has just been exactly what you expect from a team that has been there, done that, got the t-shirt, has competed with multiple different variations of the roster, and is the only team other than Shopify that has got their hands on the Game Changers Champions Trophy. Not a bad start though. Icebox going to win the fight versus Akita. A flash through is going to get rid of Amy as well. A little bit more aggression, but it's working out for them.
3v5, pressure up on Shirazi, but she gets hers before going down, and Sheer's there as well. 3 versus 1. Vanya low. They've done everything they need to convert this round on the side of Nova. Alyssa even tucked in a nasty spot. Will give no chance to G2. 6-3. The scoreline can close in from here. We can still be neck and neck at the half.
Yeah, and honestly, as said, like, this is the side of the map where G2 have favored to play. I know you've mentioned that the double duelist statistically has a lot of rounds defensively, but I do feel on this map as well, the attack thrives a little bit more.
This map, this meta as well, all that goes out the window, right? I think attack side's going to have a lot more trouble with getting into sites with the limited initiator utility, and maybe the double duelist will be something that is leaned on to sort of see that find success. Only time will tell.
Ooh, Amy under pressure. Clearing her has been an important part, and it came down to the 1 versus 1, but that's the second time that Icebox managed to win it. Shirazi holding on to the vent like her life depends on it. It did. With the remaining 2, it feels like Nova might have just found their momentum. It's left all onto Vanya, and she won't get anything.
A 2-round gap, but more importantly for Nova, a dominant round from them. This is somewhere that we've seen G2 have a lot of impact before, so it is definitely important to see them still look that little bit confident, getting aggressive in some of those early fights, but not overextending across the map and taking those last duels together as Shirazi and Sheer swung out on middle. For G2, now they come in, rifles, Viper's Pit, and a Cosmic Divide. They can get to a site and they can lock it down afterwards. Nova will have trouble dealing with that, and in fact, look at the B site. The defenders have nobody here. They're fully expecting a fight around middle, or at least they're wanting to take that control, but nobody seen again, as we've seen this from G2 a number of times where they are very delayed in going for this control. But Clem's now spotted their intention, and that Prowler, along with the flash, not going to land on Clem, but the shot won't land onto G2.
Yeah, the challenge for mid has been a large part of either team. Akita is the one to take first blood. It's all of that Viper utility offline. That is not the player you want to lose in this contention, and while Clem's position is very much known, but the fact is, after taking that pick and the move to almost bolster up middle, it seems like G2 are very aware of the gap.
There's the drone down for the info, but they've already heard it. It's all about that op shot from Clem. The top rope landing its blow. Late play by Amy through middle, hasn't been spotted yet. And often you'll expect that Viper to be with the squad. In fact, the flank is completely avoided now. They must have seen her because they even flashed back out into mid. But yes, this is why the pit coming back into play to try to lock this down in the post plant nade. Right-clicked up top. Oh. It's beautiful from Akita. And with the pit to get towards the site, just about covering the spike. This is a very difficult retake for Nova. The slide good, but Mimi better. And it's down to the 1v1. Already low is Icebox, and that decay is going to take this from bad to worse. A spam from Amy would be enough, and the snake bite certainly will do the trick. 7 on the board for G2, a lead at the half already guaranteed.
Amy's just so calm under pressure. Like you'd see, like it's such a small detail, but a lot of people, the second it's tapped, you're gonna go, I'm gonna snake bite. She's like, okay, possibility of tap and then swing. I know the timing. This will be now where she's going for that second half. Now I use the snake bite. That's all the risk gone, because by that point she would have already been swung. You're not going to wait till 1 HP to do that. So just intelligent play from Amy, and that has been a lot of the story of this attack. Just her timing, her spacing, her decision-making has been sublime. A 7th round, and while a showstopper with 2 targets and 2 targets taken. It's an assist from Mimi, even if it doesn't come up on the board, but for Akita, that's about as easy as it gets.
Yeah, really snuffing out their flame here, Nova. They came in shining bright, certainly in that first half of Corrode, but it seems like G2, they found their rhythm. As every note falls into place, Akita's 3rd! And Mimi looking for one on the backside, but it will be Petra to get yet another, hitting that final note as G2 end this half 8-4 in the lead.
Yeah, looking very good on that attack side as expected. And of course for Nova, we knew this was always going to be a tough battle. It's now an uphill one. They'll have to try and find a response after the break.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome back, folks, as we get into our Coinbase Econ report. Looking back at that first half, Tom, I mean, there's a couple of standout players, but you got to say, those showstoppers from Akita, they always found their mark.
It was a toss-up between, I think, her and Amy for who was going to be the highlight on this one, but I think she swayed it in the last round with a little bit of help from Mimi. But yeah, I think a lot of her, especially in middle, her openers were really tough to play against. And I don't think that's going to change going into the second half. A likely roam of the map for the duelist. I think that, again, like you talk about this squad in particular, and I think also you've got to put Shopify in the mix as well, of how they set up their duelists better than anyone else. Even the secondary duelists will do it a lot of the time, but I am also excited to see how Amy will look to fight into middle, and more importantly, how Nova are going to deal with her, because she has been having a phenomenal game on the lurk. Now chances are you're going to have a better idea of where she is. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy to deal with her when she's currently 13-6 on the board.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we saw for Nova, though, there were certainly some heroes over on Corrode, some big individual rounds from them, and maybe we have to hope for more of that as 8-4 down. This is the spot where the pistol carries a lot of weight. G2 with a chance to run away with this. That nade already posing a lot of danger, and Akita keeps on going. Shirazi, the one to fall, but Akita down to 10 HP. Stuck in that corner, dodges the flash, it's almost a freebie, but Icebox puts us back to level.
A nice attempt. Already, though, multiple players left within the site. Now, you can see that Mimi's actually going back to mid, just in case they try and double back in the other direction. Looking to try and lock them in with nowhere to go, but they are pressuring into what is now a stack-up of the remaining players, a crossfire that seems impossible to deal with. It's left to Sheer to try and save the day, and now even from above, Mimi will look to wrap him from behind. There is nowhere safe, nowhere left to go. G2 claim yet another pistol. And while that mountain just got a little bit taller.
I have to agree with the sign down there. Mimi is unstoppable, certainly was going into that first map, but Amy and Nikita maybe need to get added onto the card. Especially Amy, 14-6 now.
So who's not on the card? Do you remember how Petra's map closed down on the last one? I don't think.
Oh, she was popping off.
We're going to need a bigger card, is what I'm saying.
The whole roster needs to be on there. And so far, it does look like G2 in general are unstoppable. The side of Nova stalled out in this second half. There's 9-4s already on the board, but we're likely looking at double digits. Classics across the board with the exception of Sheer. And already it seems like the early plan for that attacking side is to play the orbs. A slow round from them as they take orb and B main, move back towards mid. And isolating an individual fight will be difficult. 3 Spectres in play. Honestly, this is the perfect map for it. We talked about the ability of that weapon now when it comes to ranged fights is insane. But then you add on to that the fact that there's plenty of close range duels that you can take here as well. It really feels like an all-rounder on Split.
Yeah, and again, it seems like they've got the right read. Multiple players already here. Early utilities, not a bad start though. Clem's done well. That's a player drop. Clem with the classic. Seems to do so much damage all of the time, and now Shirazi's adding another. This is starting to get very interesting indeed. A chance to give themselves a lifeline, and Clem is looking to do it all. It's left to Petra, who doesn't know there's another on the cross. And hey, that's one way to find a response. A MasterCard Thrifty, and Nova, well, they're not dead just yet.
I was thinking this was the beginning of the end. Once that pistol went to G2, it really felt like the first bit of soil dropped on the coffin
there as well.
Absolutely. And they managed to come out on top for Nova, a 9-5 scoreline, and an immediate start to this half. Honestly, it is better than winning the pistol round. Not only because G2 being so damn good with the classics, but Nova get this massive boost to the economy. Now sitting with full rifles coming into the third round, and G2 left in the dirt. I won't dare to suggest what the scoreline should be coming out of this round, just in case, but Nova's certainly looking favored.
That's the good thing. The 3 players buy up. The other 2 have the Spectres, and as you said, versus, well, normally versus a low buy, it's very good, as you are witnessing. Shirazi under pressure, but, well, they're running through the snake bite. Oh, taste of her own medicine, maybe? Can Vanya deliver? No, she cannot. That's fantastic. A flawless back. A huge boost in terms of orbs as well for Shirazi, which, hey, you're going to want a Viper's Pit as early as possible. And more importantly, the credits through the roof.
I was watching to see Nova's investment because after that, you know, still playing with the Spectre, it's not a bad idea, but they've decided to drop one of the 2, upgrading to a Phantom on Shirazi.
I think Shirazi gets 4 kills and you go, actually, I've got so many credits, I might as well spend some.
And not just that, give her a better chance to find that opening duel, to add an orb to the tally, to get that Viper's Pit in post-plant, which would be so important in a round like this. G2 investing. Losing this for the defensive side means Nova are right back in the game, and already they've sent a player running. They haven't claimed that space all too easily.
This is a full 5 as well. There is no luck. There is nobody left on the other side of the map. This is an all-in gamble play from the side of Nova. But they've got to make it out of this choke first.
Petra's been spotted on the backside. Akita good for just 1. But Mimi and Petra, they're delivering and stopping Nova in their tracks. A 7th round not likely to find its way into their hands. We talked about Shirazi, 46 HP now, and still 2 orbs away from that Viper's Pit. I don't think she's looking to plant here in the spawn. And with 45 seconds on the clock, yes, she could walk into B. She could get the plant. But it looks like we're playing the long game here. Carrying the weapon forward is the aim of this game.
Yeah, she has the credits that you could take a risk, but you're going to look at this and go, okay, I've got 46 HP. There's 4 of them alive. Maybe 1 or 2 of them have already rotated to the B site. Maybe there's one in mid. Like, I don't know any of the positions. And realistically, okay, an orb for me would be nice, but an orb for them would be damning. So I think just got to let this one slip away, unfortunately. And hey, you have an extra few credits going forward. Maybe that's another buy if things don't go to plan, or if but you lose 4 players in a round victory. So definitely understandable. For G2, though, an immediate response. Once they get the buy back in, 4 players alive will be a build-up of economy for them as well. And with Petra finding a fair few, that's going to be her now 2 away from her ultimate. They do have the Seekers online. I feel like Seekers is one of those ults, though, that it is very, very situational.
Yeah, it certainly can be. And for Nova, they've called a timeout. And interestingly enough, because they've had that time during the save to sort of think over and talk over what they want to do, but now the coaching staff wanting to get a word in. As Gamble will touch base with the crew. 4 rounds to make up that gap. G2 on the defensive side. And again, compositionally, they've got a lot to work with when it comes to the ultimates that are going to be coming online in the next round or two. And if Akita gets that showstopper out, well, it has seemingly been a win condition for them every single time, ticked the second that X is clicked.
It's a tough situation. You come in as underdogs. You have your surprise pick of Corrode. Like, I don't think G2 could have really seen that one come in, but I also think coming into this, it's the classic phrase that's used in interviews, we're just going to play our own game, but I truly believe that from G2. Like, I don't think they will have sat there and massively looked to try and counter what Nova were doing in their region, because I think it is a different level of competition altogether once you get here, but also they will have had their own theory and their own crafting coming into this mass meta change, that you know that you're going to come up across very different things to what we've seen before anyway. As you can currently see, like, this composition is definitely not the norm out from Nova. I will say though, that Teo, I'm yet to really see what it brought to the table.
There were some ideas there with like denying the heaven control with the ult and some of the salvos clearing corners, but I agree with you. I think it has been underwhelming. The composition brought in by Nova. It's always nice to see innovation. It's always nice to see new things tried, but
variety is the spice of life.
Yes.
But sometimes you don't like the spice.
It's maybe too spicy. G2, oh, snake bite down. This is a safe corner though for Shirazi. It hasn't quite extended as much as they'd hoped, and Mimi, getting a bit curious, ends up being dropped by Clem. Now the Seekers go out. Situational, but this is the perfect situation as they clear this A site completely. And the spike can move towards it. Late play coming through mid from Alyssa, but she's now being caught. That's a pick back in the other direction, and G2 don't need to get ahead of themselves in looking for a fight, but Nova want to. They're looking into the spawn off the Sky Flash, but it's fairly easily dodged. That went all the way around the corner. Paranoia doesn't land on Amy, but the rest are blinded up. Vanya stuck in the corner, and Shirazi's third lands. Akita up close, won't find the double. And another big round from Shirazi keeps Nova's beating heart alive.
This map has felt like the battle of the Vipers, which, considering some of the explosive plays we've seen elsewhere, that paranoia as well was superb, because the initial flash didn't land, but the second one left two completely blind as they went in to try and take the fight. The timing couldn't be better, and for Shirazi, well, the trade's ever important, but that final kill, the most of the lot. 10-7. A round that makes a mass difference, because although they had a large amount of bank to spare, G2 on the other hand did not. They are down to Sheriffs.
They've made it work before. Classic up close. I got so worried.
Oh, it was close. 46 health.
And the right click not as kind as it has been in the past. Drone coming through from Alyssa towards B-Main, spotted players, but Akita somehow gets one and gets out. At B-Main aggression as well, PC. Having been spotted, but Mimi has TP'd back, now looking for the fight up into heaven as Vanya goes down. Yeah, it's going to be tough to find more here. Akita on the cross. Good damage! Spike dropped up in heaven. Mimi might not be expected quite this quickly, and now Mimi's going to have some help as the showstopper soon to be popped, I'd imagine. This is the round for it. This happened before. Shirazi in the pit and will be caught yet again by the showstopper. But it's left onto Petra. 1 versus 2. It seems like Nova may have stumbled, but they will not fall. Not just yet, unless Petra's got a big play up her sleeve. Already isolating one. The reveal is there. The reload needed. And now her opponent rounds the corner to destined death. Petra puts them in their place with an 11th round for G2.
Just insanity. There were so many moments in this round where I was thinking, okay, That will be what turns it. Maybe the showstopper will do it, but the Red Bull clutch at a 1v2 with the Sheriff, nah. I didn't think she made that one. Didn't even use the Nightfall. Had it in her back pocket, was like, I don't need it. I'm going to isolate these fights, and well, ever so impressive. It's got to be difficult as well when you just see her smiling and laughing on the other side of the stage. That is someone who has such a wealth of experience. There was never any fear in Petra's heart for that one. Akita about to be pressured, but yeah, you just can't. You can't make it through that orb while someone is spamming. And
well,
you didn't even get close to it, in fact.
That's tough.
Look on the map where that was. That was just on the corner. That was just a little pre-fire.
Clearly, Amy knows her angles, but who's surprised by that?
Yeah, no way.
And now Nova losing out on their omen. They have that Viper wall already placed down. Akita does well to find one. It's the numbers kept in favor for G2. Although the regen shields will help Clem recover a bit of that lost HP. Advantage still sitting firmly with the defensive side.
It did actually land onto Alyssa, so they do still know that there's somebody around mid, but the Prowler not going far enough to track her down. And with Heaven now cleared, it starts to narrow down. Vanya, also someone that knows her angles. Yeah, I don't think you're regenerating that one, Clem. 3 health. They've got 30 seconds, and it doesn't seem like this is getting any easier.
Oh, Gravwell. That's slowed down the rest of the squad, and it's only a 3 HP Clem who's made it out to the side. Amy shutting her down, saving Vanya's life as the smoke goes up, and now how do you get out? You just gotta walk through this with Amy and Vanya holding you as if you had a chance. G2, 12 on the board, just like Corrode. They have 5 chances to close out this map. The difference being, this is their pick, and they seem to be hitting another level here.
Just straight up spam for the first. And then towards the end, yeah, it's just an attempt to try and get anywhere near her teammate. She was not having it. Sometimes Vanya is the one to take everybody's life, but sometimes she needs protecting, and that's where Amy comes in. 12-7. The buy, it stinks. I think the only thing really there is going to be that overdrive, a chance to try and close the gap, but Akita is ready and waiting. Clem gone.
Yeah, Clem wanted to put the pressure onto Petra there. She was stuck in the corner and still will be. Dodges that flash again. Great wall that they have in play here. Got to give credit to Amy. We've seen that already have impact in previous rounds. And here maybe more so than ever.
Go ahead.
Still have that Omen to play with, but no smoke down, and Mimi has a field day with that, covering the cross back as well. Alyssa pre-fires it and forces her off the angle. The paranoia sends her further back, and Sheer is walking down on the back of it. Even suspects that that's the decoy as Alyssa finds one. Sheer could have a beautiful flank, but doesn't want to risk it, and I like it. I think the discipline here is far more valuable than rolling the dice on that flank and being isolated. The 2 versus 2, but it's Amy and Vanya that you're up against.
Yeah, the From the Shadows could be used as a recon. Her staying alive, fairly integral. G2 with a chance to end the map. Alyssa, a chance to get an ace. She's stuck in the backside, but still swings out. One more needed to individually win the round for her team, but that's where her teammate will come in. A 4K for Alyssa to keep them in the map, maybe the most important one they've had so far.
Oh yeah, that was looking very rough on the surface, but they cut through that like a knife on the side of Nova. A much needed win, 4 rounds in a row still to be connected, and they ran into a lot of issues here, but Alyssa, you know, you said we might not have seen what we needed to from that Tejo, but hey, we've seen what we needed to from Alyssa in that round.
Yeah.
That's brought them back into it. Give them a boost of morale. Perhaps Viper's Pit in play. Now, we've seen this a number of times towards mid, but this time Amy in a very narrow choke point. I mean, she kind of needs to push forward to hold that control, but Clem is already past the pit, so standing in that tight corner, really the only option she's left with. Prowler up top has caught Clem, though.
Yeah, that's important information. And in fact, it seems like we're going to get a push on 2 fronts. One of them is in the form of Akita, and then Amy's also managed to find Clem. This might be the beginning of the end. as they've had to try and fall back in a chance to try and reclaim mid, maybe catch the aggressive player in the form of Akita, but she's gone. She's dipped. She's in fact wrapping all the way back round just to fight with Mimi, and Mimi's gone, okay, well, let's just fall back and fight this one together. We have that advantage already.
Oh, Mimi! The double kill! And maybe the death blow delivered just like that. It will be a triple from Mimi to close this out in flawless fashion. G2 have given Nova courtesy enough, and they take it 2-0. An impressive series from Nova. A lot of promise here, but it just wasn't enough.
No, and I think the more exciting thing from my perspective is what we saw from Akita making that sort of debut on this GCC stage, and it didn't look like she broke a sweat. Of course, I feel like having those experienced players around her definitely helped, and unfortunately, at least for the likes of Alyssa and Shirazi, it is the same again. You face G2 once more, and you face a formidable force, a team that has been in that top 3 multiple times, a team who has lifted the trophy once before, and a team that is the expectation once again. Nonetheless, for now, we are going to be heading off, more importantly, to the Verizon post-match interview with Petra.